Hey, welcome back to the Therapy Unzipped podcast. We have a doozy for you today, and I'm excited about this. So we're gonna light this candle. Hey, Brett.
Good morning, Tom. How diddly doodly?
So we got a topic that came in from your friend, and I'll let you set it up, and let's just dive into it.
Okay, yeah, this got brought up the other day during a conversation, and it's actually a semi-common theme that comes up occasionally. I've seen it on TikTok recently, and it has to do with um, adult children, right, deciding to go no contact with their parents
Hmm.
for whatever reason. And I mean, it's a really hot topic. I've seen on TikTok the one side of the coin where, I've seen where it said, if your children decide to go no contact with you, it's 100% your fault as a parent.
Right? Like
And I was like,
what?
whoa. I mean, maybe, okay. And then, the other thing is, you see the other side of the coin, and as if your child decides to go no contact with you, that's the ultimate disrespectful. How can your kids do that? I kept you alive. I raised you. I gave you everything that I could. I kept you alive,
Right.
for 18 years, and this is the thanks I get. So that's the other side of the coin.
Right.
And, I think that we could talk through it, but of course, with most things, Tom, as we know, the answer lies somewhere in the middle,
Yeah, yeah, and we're not an advocate or proponent of either side. Let's just have a conversation about it.
right?
I mean, there's two different sets of lenses to look at. I mean, at least two separate sets of lenses, one from the adult child's perspective, and then of course one from the parent's perspective. And I have a number of families that I work with that I treat. Um, Families, parents that are bringing their kid in, even adult, but their son, daughter
Mhm.
in for treatment and for help because maybe there's a failure to launch. Maybe there's a lot of trauma from the young person's perspective that is being unrealized or invalidated by the parent. And so they're frustrated. The young person's frustrated because they're like, didn't you see what you did and why I'm acting this way and why I just display the behaviors and why I have the mental health challenges and why I have difficulty navigating this crazy world because maybe you didn't teach me certain things, or maybe there was some perceived abandonment or abuse, and they're frustrated. And then, of course, they utilize the vast internet and they're validated. Is some confirmation bias happening? Sure. But then
Mhm.
they see the algorithm shows them more and more of this stuff and they feel like, oh my gosh, this really did happen to me. This happened to you. This happened to me too. And they create this narrative that I can't be around my parents. I got to get out of the house. But then getting out of the house requires, well, I need money. I need like career, job, and I feel like I'm up against the wall. I feel like I can't, and we talked about it before, how what person, under 30 can really, buy a house nowadays. It's a very small percentage. So I know that it's not just from the parents. There's the environmental challenges that are happening too. But I have a number of clients who are in this position, and I get both sides of the coin. I can appreciate and empathize with both. And I'm
Mhm.
working with the young person, but I'm also trying to collaborate with the parents and trying to validate them and their experience. And we're just everybody's butting heads.
Right. And we don't want to negate. I mean, the young adults that grew up in situations of extreme abuse and neglect, of course you make your decisions, and no one's faulting you for any decision that you make. Listen, this is your life. You have to live your life the best way that you think and what's best for you. And whatever you decide, hey, that's your choice. You make your choices and you live with the consequences of your choices, and that's fine. There's a guy on TikTok that I see occasionally, and he's kind of a fitness guy, but he gets into the story of, he was extremely neglected and met his father a couple times, but his mother was a drug addict and abandoned him when he was, in his teens. And so he's been on his own, and he went to the military and he made a life for himself and whatever, but
Yeah.
and it affected him for sure. But he created this new life, and he, he did some research, and he just changed his name to reflect that I don't have to carry all that crap with me, all that stuff from my childhood. So
Yeah.
I've created a life for myself, and this is who I am going forward.
Yeah.
So extreme abuse and neglect, whatever, you make your decisions, and that's great. I was really excited to hear for this guy how he had put his life together and what the decisions that he made moving forward. So in those cases, we're not saying, of course you have to forgive your parents. No, we're not saying you
Right.
have to do anything, right?
Mhm.
But that we do hear from a lot of young adults, some young adults that say, yeah, I was abused and neglected as a kid because, I had my parents bought me the same, and I had to carry the same iPhone for like 6 years where everybody else got a new iPhone. So I
Right.
can't believe the neglect I grew up under.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
And
Well, in your mind, that's neglectful. Okay, I get it.
sure.
Okay. You can define neglect however you want, but
Big T's, little T's.
big T's, little T's. Exactly. And Tom, that means big trauma, little trauma.
Yeah.
Big traumas are what you think they are, and little traumas are, the things that we take that, impact us. So,
Hmm. What's traumatic for one person may not be traumatic for the other. So, I mean, I think this is where we get into the challenge is that the parents, and I see this with couples too, is that they have a very hard time looking through their set of lenses, being able to empathize and look through the lenses of the young person. And that could be because of their own stuff, their own trauma, their own upbringing, and of course their role as the parent. I mean, like it seems almost absurd for a parent to just allow the kid to do absolutely everything that they want to do. I mean, there needs to be some sort of like safety and security, direction, guidance that's provided, and maybe that guidance is to the best of the parent's ability, but it may not be in line with what the child thinks would be
right.
appropriate. And the kids back before there was social media and the internet, I mean, your first social situation was with your family, but now young people are having these
Mhm.
interactions outside of the family, and we're seeing how that's taken its toll. I mean, I don't know how much this, how big of a problem was this, 50 years ago, 100 years
Right.
ago. I mean, you just
Well,
didn't have the reach or the.
yeah, no, for sure. And we talk about generational things a lot, Tom. And I love the generational stuff. So we're good old Gen Xers, right? We were raised in, we were latchkey kids, and we were raised in different times where, we were the forgotten generation. We were kicked out of the house on Saturday mornings, and after breakfast, the door was locked, and they told you to come back for dinner, right? We roamed
Yeah,
the neighborhoods, and the parents didn't know where we were at. We were out doing whatever we were doing, fending for ourselves, drinking from the hose,
drinking from the hose. Yeah,
good old Gen X stuff. And right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what it was. And they grew up on, under the silent generation where kids were seen and not heard. You didn't
yeah,
interact with your parents for the most part. They didn't. Our
yeah,
parents interacted with us when they chose to, but we were the forgotten generation. So we were feral kids,
yep,
it's amazing we survived, the way that we did. And so every generation says, I'm going to raise my kids different. I'm going to do
yeah.
it different than my parents did with me,
Hmm.
right? So we were forgotten. We didn't have a lot of interaction with our parents, and um, so we said we're going to do it different. We spent a lot of time with our kids, right? We were A lot of our generation was friends with our kids, right? We wanted to do stuff with them and hang out with them and listen to music and blah 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 blah, and do all those different things. And that stuff was okay, but there is a cost to that, right?
Sure.
So your kids meld with you a lot, and it's harder for them to break away. And when they break
Yeah,
away, they have to do it in a different dramatic fashion, right?
yeah,
So we talk about generational issues, and I remember having kids, and I was like, "Oh, I just got to worry about them for 18 years, and then I'm done, right? I can go back."
Nope.
Boy, that turned out not to be true, but it's true. You do your best you can for about 18 years, and well, people my age and our generation, Tom, what we need to remember is, listen, we had 18 years to teach them the lessons that they needed to learn, right?
Mhm.
After about that time, your teaching days are over, and now you would go into a supportive role, right?
Yeah.
You can't direct your kids' lives anymore,
Yeah.
right? You've done your job. They need to make their own decisions because we've talked about before, learn more from our failures than our successes.
Yes.
The hardest thing to do as parents is watch our kids make mistakes, but they got to do it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is interesting because this is a little bit of a theme that I'm seeing
Hmm.
when I have the parents who bring their young person in, who I mean like early 20s,
Hmm.
who, okay, failure to launch. They're just sitting at home on the computer, and they don't seem to be, you know, to have that motivation. Of course, you know how we feel about motivation, but they lack that desire to go out, to get out of the house, and to go be productive and to go do stuff. Everything is provided for them, and then the parents feel unappreciated with
Right.
that, and they're frustrated because that's not how they were raised, and they didn't feel
Right.
like they raised their kids to be that way. And so they want them to, like pull up your bootstraps and, like
Yeah.
tighten up. And what the fuck do you have to be sad about? And I'm not saying that that's correct, but I can, appreciate
Hmm.
where they're coming from and the frustration level. And it gets worse over time. And they just want something to change because this is their time to now, they've done their child rearing. They want to just enjoy their lives, and they don't want to continue to take care of a kid for the next, into their 30s.
Right. Well, you get that failure to launch, and you talk to the parents, and you get the flavor of what's going on. It's like, so why would your child leave the house? For 22 years, you've made them Dino Nuggies and Choco Milk for dinner every night, and
Right.
they get free internet, and they got a comfortable bed and a pool in the backyard that they don't have to take care of. That's Shangri-La? Why would you ever
Right.
want them to? Why would they ever leave?
What's the impetus to leave? So that's the theme that I'm saying, and it's not all across the board. It's you talking about, okay, being friends, or at least friendly with your kids, and I think that's wonderful. I like that instead of the kids need to be seen, not heard. Um,
Mhm.
there's a line too, and as early as you can, showing them that, okay, I am the parent, and
Right.
these are the rules, and these are the boundaries, and these are the
Mhm.
expectations that I want you to, meet for me to the best of your ability. And then to do that as young as you can, because you're not going to be able to enforce that and start that when they're 15.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's the danger, is that they don't utilize those. They don't create the safety and security when they're young. They're, allowing their kids to, express themselves and be who they want to be. And that's great. But I think that starts when they're 13, 14. And then you can allow a little bit of that to come out with the boundaries. But if you're waiting until they're 16 to start like setting down some ground rules, because of behavioral challenges, then it's too fucking late.
Mhm. Yeah. And, I was always, when the kids were younger, I was a parent for sure. But we did a lot of stuff and hung out in Legos and movies and had fun stuff. But at the end of the day, I was the parent. And, as they got older, we were friendly and we would hang out and we shared music and did a lot of stuff. And we were friends-ish.
Yeah.
And I would say it, you have a lot of friends, but you only got one parent, you only got one father, and I will be that. I will pull out my dad card at any given moment.
Yeah.
So, some families that line gets a little bit blurred. And, um, I when I've talked to a few parents where, for whatever reasons, the kids have decided to go no contact, right?
Hmm.
Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, whether you understand it as the adult, as the parent, is irrelevant. Listen, you did your best and you taught them the lessons that you taught them for 18 years, and you want them to launch. You want them to go live their lives the best way they know how. And if they decide to go no contact with you, I know it hurts. Believe me, I would be devastated if my kids decided to do that. It would not be fun for me. But what's more important for me as a parent? To see them live the life that they choose and live the best life that they know how, or to make me feel better by having a relationship that they feel is strained or whatever anyway. So,
Right.
for me as a parent, it's being a parent is a very selfless act. It takes all your energy, all your time, all
Yeah.
your patience, and all your money for sure. So when, if they decide to launch and to go no contact with you, you don't have to understand it, you don't have to like it, you don't work on yourself and try to figure it out for yourself, but kind of leave them alone. Give them some
Right.
space, let them grow, let them figure it out. The more you
Yeah.
push, the more they're going to push back. I'm an adult. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do
Yeah.
this. Don't fight with them. Let them be. Hopefully, at some point, they'll come around.
18 to 25 sucks
Ugh.
by design.
Yeah.
Like, I swear, it's
I
by
wouldn't want
design.
to do it again.
It
It would-
sucks. And as a young person, when you're, 18 through 25, you got to be out there and you've got to, like fall down, fail,
Mhm.
just try to figure it out the best you can.
Mhm.
And you may not have a whole lot of guidance. And I mean, anytime you talk to somebody who's 18 to 25, I mean, it's hard to really get through. They're not necessarily open to suggestions from
Right.
somebody, definitely not somebody who's younger, and even anybody who's older than that. They may ask for some help or guidance, and you offer that, but I think they're still in their own world, in their own bubble, because that by design, they have to figure it out. Their brains almost fully developed, by the time they're 25, that's when it's fully developed. So let them go out and see what the world has to offer. And it's a shit show sometimes.
Yeah, you talk about, 18 to 25. It is one of the most stressful times of your life. And that's where we see a lot of bad things happen. Maladaptive coping skills, number one, drugs, alcohol,
Yep.
promiscuity,
Video
a lot of
games.
mental health issues arise. Anxiety starts pretty early, and depression can start early. But there's the theory that the more stress hormones that you're under, right? And 18 to 25 is a very stressful time. The more susceptible. It's like gasoline on the fire to what
Yeah.
is a burning ember. What may have been a mild anxiety or some mild depression or even some mild psychosis issues kind of thing. It's all that stress is like gasoline on the fire that can explode some of those mental health issues.
Yeah.
And, people, we talk about coping skills, right? Under stress, we have to develop coping skills, right? When we want you to develop exercise, breathing, taking care of yourself, good sleep habits, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, unfortunately, people develop drugs and alcohol, which is it's a coping skill. It
Yeah.
does help, but it's maladaptive and it's not good enough.
It works. It changes how you feel. Um,
Absolutely. But,
However, there are some negative consequences that come from
mm,
that. But if you're trying to lecture or, be of service to teach, guide somebody who's 18 to 25, they're
mm,
wearing headphones all the time,
mm,
literally and figuratively. They're not really listening. I mean,
right.
and that's okay because that's what they need right then in that stage of their life, of their development. They need to have that freedom to be able to explore and learn. And you know what? Just be of support to them, whether you're a friend or whether you're a parent or even a therapist. You're working with that population. Just hold the space for them. And okay, they're complaining about X, Y, and Z. This happened. You did this to me when I was young, or you didn't do these things to me when I was young, or you're not giving me money, or you're whatever. Okay, so what? What are you going to do about that?
Right. Just
And
listen.
you can decide as a parent,
Mhm.
what are you willing to give? If they say, hey, what can you do about that? Or what are you going to do about that? Well, I need from you, $5,000 so I can go whatever, go
Right.
buy a car or go have a couple months rent on a place. Are you willing to do that as a parent? Maybe you are. Maybe you say, you know what? Okay, you need some financial assistance. Here's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to finance an apartment with some conditions for this period of time. And if you're okay
Right.
with that, then go ahead and do that. And, keep those conditions solidified for you. You
Mhm.
know, if it's like, hey, I want, to make sure that I see you paying the rent, by such and such time, after 6 months or so, I want to make sure that you have gainful employment. And as long and or you're going to school and you're showing me your grades, you're showing me that you're attending school, then okay, whatever conditions. But just like when we do EMDR, it's so important for us to just stay out of the way.
Mhm.
Parent, just
Right.
stay out of the way. Just support them as best you can with what you're willing to do, but
Mhm.
you don't have to push them, and you definitely don't have to minimize their experience through the course of their life up to this point and what they say you did or didn't do. Just be of support to them, and what do you need? What am I willing to provide? And like, so what are you going to do about it?
Right. Yeah. And we don't have to understand everything that, our kids are saying and doing and how they're behaving. I mean, it's their life. We got to let them lead it. But the other thing and we don't understand it. Like, most of the people in my generation, I mean, we were on our own. I mean, I had very supportive parents, helped me get through college and whatever. But for the most part, our generation, and 18, you hit the door and you were gone and you fended for yourself and you
Yeah,
created a life, and so the thought of funding your kids, life as a young adult is very foreign to people of my generation.
yeah,
But it's a different world. It's a way different world. You look at even, minimum wage to what rent is, the percentages are way out of whack. Everything is so much more expensive. Wages haven't increased significantly over time, but everything else has, including, automobiles, car insurance, rent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah. I remember what was I, 24 or so. I remember not being able to have enough money for rent at one point, and I remember calling my parents, like begging, pleading, and they were like, and I was even in another state. They were like, "Well, that sucks," like, what are you gonna do about it? You're not gonna help me,
Yeah,
ah! And you know what? I was angry, but I figured it out because it wasn't a result of their decisions. It
right.
was a result of my decisions, and I had to
Mhm.
figure out that this is my life, and I'm going to have to, if I need to sleep in my truck for a period of time, I'm going to have
Mhm.
to do that, and that's going to motivate me. That's going to give me the impetus to make some positive changes and figure it out. If my parents rushed to my aid when I was that age, then I think that would have set a precedent that they'll always be there to pick me up when I fall, and I'm not going to learn anything.
Right.
And the fact that I did, and I powered through and dealt with my own anchor, dealt with my own decisions, and carved out a life for myself. It was the best thing that they could have done. And I didn't see it at the time, of course, but
Right. Totally.
now, at 47, I get to come to my parents and really have some deep conversations about life and about the future. And they
Mhm.
still give me some guidance here and there. And that's such a beautiful thing. But I appreciate that so much more.
Mhm.
When you're 30,
So,
you realize that your parents are actually relatively smart, but
right.
they're stupid
Okay.
from 15 to
Yeah. When
25.
you're 18, your parents are idiots. When you're 30,
Yeah.
your parents are brilliant.
Yeah.
Anyway, so young adults, right? I mean, outside of, significant abuse and neglect, that's not what we're talking about here, but young adults, give your parents a break. There's no handbook on how to be a parent, right?
Yeah.
I hope that you are better parents than your parents were. So go have your own kids and, do the bet, and do better, right?
Yeah.
So, but give your parents a break. They did the best they could, hopefully, and they didn't. There's no handbook on how to do this.
Yeah.
So, parents of adult children, back off. right? You were very involved in your kids' lives for many, many years, and now they are young adults, and you got to let them be. Like, let them
Yeah.
spread their wings, let them go. And if they say some stuff that bothers you, then that's a you thing. It bothers
Yeah.
you. Get
Yep.
over it. Work on your own stuff. Um, and yeah, support your kids, but let them be. Let them
Yeah.
go.
Remember that song, Parents Just Don't Understand?
Hmm.
Hey, this is for young people, your parents, whatever age you are, and you're wanting your parents to validate and understand and agree with and apologize for, take accountability for. They might not be able to do any of those things, or they may not want to do any of those things. And
Hmm.
that's okay. You don't need that seriously in order for you to be the best version of yourself. You don't need mom or dad to say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I didn't even realize it. You're right. I was so terrible." Like they may not have the capacity or the desire
Right.
to be able to do that, and
Right.
they don't have to agree with you.
Well, Tom, I wonder how many people we pissed off today.
Let's keep the conversation going about this. So please
Yeah.
send in your comments, gripes, complaints, your own 2 cents, what
All
have
right.
you, to therapy on questions at therapyonzip.com. And we love
Right.
to continue talking about it. What are your thoughts on what we've discussed today? But thanks for being here.
Those dang rotten kids, they just don't understand.
Get off my lawn. Anyway, Brad, thanks for being here today. I appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Tom. Great to see you as always.
We'll see you guys next week.
All right.
Hey there. Boy, am I tired. How diddly doodly.
Boy,
Welcome
I
back.
just flew in from Albuquerque and dang are my arms tired.
Take my wife, please. What are the
Hello,
it's
Tom.
welcome back to another hot episode, hot and fresh.
Like a
There,
steamy pile. Oh, wait, where is it?
ooh. Welcome to Therapy Unzipped. We're going to get into a topic that we love discussing,
Uh,
and it is so vital. That is sleep.
Tom, sleep is like my favorite thing on the planet. I would rather sleep than do most things, not everything, but a lot of things, right? Do I want to stay up late and watch that movie or would I rather go to bed? I'm going to bed.
Yeah,
I can watch a movie anytime, right?
right.
There are some things that I'll stay awake for, but
Yes. I
I
know. I'm picking up what you're putting down. And you
but
know what? Hey,
yeah,
we're guys, and we will sacrifice sleep for that other thing
oh,
anytime.
99 times out of 100. And the other time is just because we didn't get the hint.
Right, right. Yeah. It's 1 in the morning. I gotta get up at 5:30. Yeah, no, I can stay up.
I got time. I got time for
Well,
that.
I
Anyway,
mean,
sleep. If and we say this all the time. If there is any magic to good mood, mental health, um, processing, all that good stuff. It's
yeah,
sleep.
yeah.
Your body, your brain particularly needs sleep.
Hmm.
And it varies, right? But really, almost everybody needs 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night for the
Yes.
most part.
Hmm.
And people say, "Oh no, I function just fine on 4 hours." Yeah,
No,
no,
you don't.
you're lying.
You don't. I've said that for years.
Yeah,
I function great on 5 hours. I'm
mhm,
perfectly okay.
right.
Can you function? Yes,
Mhm,
absolutely. For a long period of time. Are you functioning well to the best of your ability? Fuck no.
mhm.
Seriously. Listen
Tom,
to that again.
you and I had a very similar situation, and in the height of my career, I slept 4 hours a night. I went to bed at midnight. I was up at 4 in the morning. I
Yeah.
was in my office by 6 a.m. every day. And I was fine. I was running on all cylinders, drinking a bunch of coffee and Diet Cokes, and I was just off to the races, right?
Yeah.
I didn't need anything more. And I, built my career for 15, 20 years around that. And then boom, cardiac issue.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it was a significant cardiac issue back then. And you realize real quick that 20 years of 4 hours of sleep did a number on your cardiac system, did a
Yes.
number on your body in particular. And that was that was interesting because it was on my I was in the hospital and I had an angiogram on my exact 40th birthday. 40.
Yeah.
And since that time, and then it's 15 years later now, I have
Yeah.
been on a journey, and I had to start with changing my sleep habits.
Yeah.
And to go from 4 hours of sleep to 8 hours of sleep was a nightmare. And
Yeah.
it took me a long time to figure it out. But my first rule out of the gate is I have to lay in bed for 8 hours. No phone, no TV, no books, no nothing. Didn't matter if I slept or not, I had to lay there. And it was awful,
Yeah.
awful, laying in bed, not doing anything, and just not sleeping. But eventually, my body learned that, hey, and my brain learned we're going to be here. Might as well
Yeah.
take advantage of it and do some sleep.
And now you sleep.
Now I sleep. I still have issues, I have
Yeah.
occasional insomnia, but I've done everything over time. I did the Z-Quil for
Yeah.
almost a year daily, and then my liver enzymes went through the roof. My doctor's like, "What in the heck is going on here?"
Yeah.
And yeah, ZQL, my body did not like ZQL. So I tried melatonin, and I the 2% that have screaming awful nightmares
Yeah.
can't do melatonin.
Woo.
Um, ooh, that was bad. So I tried melatonin. I had the worst awful nightmares of my life, right? And I woke up and went, "Whoa, that was weird."
Uh-huh.
Went about my day, took melatonin this again the next night. I went to sleep and my nightmare picked up where it left off. It was like a continuation of the night before.
Oh man.
I got up the next morning and I flushed all that melatonin down the toilet. Never again.
Screw this.
Yeah.
I had that. I was 45, so it was 2 years ago almost, right? A year and a half, 2 years ago. Same situation. I thought, I mean, I'm a Marine, so I mean, I can do fine on, 4 hours, 5 hours, no problem. And did that successfully for a long period of time. You and I are cut from the same cloth. We wake up with our shoes on and we hit the ground running and
Mhm,
we fucking go. And you
mhm,
know what? I love that about myself.
mhm,
However, it adds up and there are some negative consequences of that. And when I could not relax, I'm like a meditation, relaxation, yoga, guru. And I could not bring that heart rate down AFib, and like I had to go to the emergency room. And 45, you were 40, like this shouldn't be. We shouldn't be
mhm,
having cardiac issues. I mean, uh, I'm relatively healthy, like I haven't had any significant medical issues. I eat relatively well, probably more than I should, but that's just, like part of I'm Italian, food equals love, comfort, all that,
mhm.
But you exercise, like, it's not that we're doing atrocious things with our bodies. We're not
Right,
drinking alcoholically. I don't drink. I haven't drank. And it was moderate, and food. I mean, it's not like we're just pillaging junk food and crap. We're not doing drugs. We're not, like we
right.
shouldn't be having cardiac issues, but it was
Right.
related to sleep
Mhm.
and
Sleep and
psych
stress.
hospital,
Yeah.
right? What is the primary like intervention?
Mhm. Sleep. Put them down. Yeah.
Because it's so it is like the magic bullet, as you say, and that's one of the first things that we work with when we're
Mhm.
talking with clients, patients, what have you. Like when you meet with a doctor, psychiatrist, what are they asking? They're always asking about sleep. How's your sleep?
Tell me about your sleep.
Yeah.
So, just some basic facts. There are three stages of sleep: light sleep, deep sleep, and REM or rapid eye movement sleep. Light sleep is restorative to your brain. Deep sleep is restorative to your muscles. But REM sleep, that tends to happen at the end of your sleep cycle, usually in the fifth, sixth, seventh hour, eighth hour, is restorative to your memories and how your brain organizes information. And what I mean by that is there's like a little personal assistant in your brain organizing information, deleting files that aren't important anymore. We call working memory. They're organizing, oh, this event goes here. These things are related, so these go together. And when
Yeah.
you don't get a good REM sleep because you're not sleeping enough, your brain it can get jumbled and
Yeah.
it's pulling out working memory where it doesn't belong, and you have that inability to concentrate, and kind of your things are all muddled up. So
Yeah.
that's why sleep is so important.
Problem solving is occurring, usually in by means of symbols, like in your dreams.
Yeah, REM, rapid eye movement, is when your eyes are closed and your eyes are going back and forth. What's happening there is it's called bilateral stimulation. Your brain is actively using both hemispheres of your brain at the same time. That's the only time it happens. Usually your brain lights up one side or the other, but during REM sleep, both hemispheres of your brain are lit up. It is important for organization, problem solving. We've talked about EMDR, which is creating bilateral stimulation while you're awake to process old memories that may be traumatic, etc.
Mhm.
But REM sleep is when you dream, and dreaming is problem solving. It is your brain trying to work stuff out, um, trying to work out problems, and how does this relate, and where does this process, and what does this mean for this, and so that it's not always symbolistic. Your dreams don't always mean what you think they mean.
Yeah.
But Tom, you and I love, like, when someone comes in and says, "I had the weirdest dream last night." You're
Ooh.
like, "Tell me all about it. Tell me
I'm like
everything.
on the edge of my seat, literally, and I'm rolling my sleeves up. I'm like, let's go.
Tell me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those of you out there who say, I'll sleep when I'm dead,
Mhm.
well, be prepared because that might come quickly.
Yeah, it could come quicker than you want it to, for sure.
So, what are some of the things, tips, tricks, techniques that we could offer so that people can get some better sleep?
Mhm.
Let's get
I mean,
into
there's a million of them out there, Tom, and I have tried every single one of them.
that.
And you've got to figure out what works for you. I mean, there's a whole school that, no screen time an hour or so before bed, read before bed, watch your caffeine intake. And a lot of people, particularly with men, they say watch your water intake so you're not waking up to pee all night long. Because
Yeah,
the older you get, the more you got to pee. So you got to figure out what works for you. I mean, if you get up to pee and you can't go back to sleep, maybe you need to watch your water intake. I get up to pee and I go right back to sleep. I'm asleep before I hit the bed. I'm just like asleep walking back to bed.
yep,
Um, so that doesn't bother me. So I don't have to worry about that. And water is important for my body. Anyway, I have tried everything. I have done every conceivable. When I go 2 or 3 nights with bad sleep, I take a trazodone
yeah,
as a PRN. And I mean, I'm asleep, but man, talk about a hangover. The trazodone hangover in the morning. Oof.
yeah,
But hey, it's more important for me to sleep than to feel kind of groggy the next morning.
yeah.
But I only do that after a couple nights of bad sleep, and it doesn't happen often. I mean, maybe
Mhm.
I take trazodone once a month or once every other month. But I've done what really helped me is I have a breathing app, and it makes a sound. The sound is you inhale, the sound is you hold it, and then the third sound is you exhale,
Mhm.
right? And it just gets you into very rhythmic breathing. And I practice that for 5 or 10 minutes at a time, a couple times a day for a while, like a month. And that was years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. And now I still put that on my phone on my nightstand every night when I go to bed, and it runs for 10 minutes. And 8 times out of 10, I'm asleep before it stops in 10 minutes
Yep.
because my brain is conditioned to know this sound means sleep.
Yeah.
So I've
You
conditioned
have to
my.
you have to experiment with all of those different techniques, and we'll always share some, but please
Mhm.
do some research on what other people use. Ask around what people use. What are their habits, But this is the holy grail, and this is the takeaway for today, at least for me. It's the routine and the habit. So
Hmm.
right now, I want you to decide what time do I want to go to sleep every single night
Hmm.
so that I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and what time do I want to wake up in the
Hmm.
morning? What time do I need to wake up in the morning? Whatever. And then you stick to that for
Hmm.
the next month at least, even on the weekends, even on days that you're off. Okay, if you decide I want to go to sleep at 11 p.m. and I want to wake up at 6:30 a.m., okay, then you need to do that. You set an alarm for 6:30. You go to sleep, you lay down at 11 p.m., you turn everything else off, done. Even if you lay there, like you were saying, even if you wake up at 5 and you lay there for an hour and a half, whatever, you just do that routinely. And eventually, over the course of that month, this will become second nature and you will automatically get tired 10:15, 10:30, and you'll want to go lay down. You'll turn everything off. You'll go to sleep at 11 and then you'll wake up at 6:28 right before your alarm goes
Hmm.
off. You do that successfully for a month, and that will be forever until
Hmm.
you change it up or until something comes along that shakes that, or if you decide you're going to stay up real late one night, then that's going to throw off the sleep schedule. But the holy grail is your routine.
Hmm. Sleep hygiene. I mean, it's basic sleep hygiene. And your brain is a very interesting organ in that it's complex and can do amazing things, but it's also kind of dumb. And you can trick it into doing all kinds of things, right? This is about training your brain. Your brain does not, your brain runs you, but you run your brain, right? So you train your brain. I do the same thing every day. When I on the weekends could be a little bit different. Um, but if we're going out or doing something, that's fine. But I'm on the same dang routine every day,
Mhm.
right? 10:30-ish or 10:15, I'm getting in the shower, doing my evening, getting, routine. I'm in bed by 10:30, quarter to 11. I'm asleep by 11 and up by
Yeah.
7.
Start to recognize some patterns. You might discover that if you're eating late at night, right before you go to sleep, that has a tendency to interrupt your sleep. So why not switch it up? Eat a few hours earlier and see what happens. Do you
Mm-hmm.
sleep better? If you eat spicy foods, does that interrupt your sleep? If you watch Murder Channel, right? You know the
Mm-hmm.
Discovery ID stuff right before you go to sleep. Does that get in the way and interrupt your sleep? Like notice these things,
Mm-hmm.
If the air conditioner breaks and it gets really hot, does the temperature interrupt your sleep? I know it does for us.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you do yoga, before you go to sleep or before bedtime, does that help or does that hinder? If you run sprints or heavy weightlifting before you go to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
does that help? Does that hinder it? Just recognize some of these patterns, but keep your routine and engage in some sleep hygiene. And there's all those tips out there, and you just have to trial and error, see
Mm-hmm.
and find what works well for you. Some people find it tremendously helpful to write down and journal everything that's
Mm-hmm.
on their mind or the things they want to work on in the REM cycle. And just writing all that shit down gets it out of your head, and they find that they have better
Mm-hmm.
sleep.
People use tea. They drink tea before bed or warm, the old one was warm milk, but more people are drinking tea now. And it is, I mean, there's a lot of calming effects of some of those teas that do make you kind of snoozy time tea or whatever that is. And
Right.
it's not only the stuff that's in the tea, but it's also the routine. Like when you drink tea every night, it tells your brain, oh, it's time to shut down. We're getting ready to bed for bed. That's that whole training. It's the routine. It's your sleep hygiene. When you do the same thing every night and then go to bed, your brain knows, oh, this is what's happening next. So it's
Yeah.
a brain training game. Half of the tea is just telling your brain, oh, here we go.
Chamomile, I thought that was chamomile.
Right? Yeah.
Oh. So sleep is so, so vital. Here's another tip. Don't use the snooze.
Right. For
If
sure.
you want to have a second, oh shit, just in case alarm set, then do that. I do that, but as soon as that first alarm goes off, I get up. Even if I
Yeah,
feel like if I feel terrible, whatever. I get up. I make myself get up. And then usually I'm in the shower and then that second alarm goes off and the dogs are barking and my wife is like, "Turn off the alarm." I'm like, "Oh, I forgot to click it off." But that's the oh shit. Kind of
I
want to,
really got to get up.
yeah, but
But you're
don't
right. There's a lot of information out there, but snooze is not helpful at all. In fact, it can ruin the start of your day
yeah.
because you hit the snooze and you go right back to sleep. Well, you're falling way back into. You can go back into a deep sleep right away
Yeah.
at that time, and then 9 minutes later, you're jolted out of it again,
Yeah.
and that's taxing for your brain. So there's a lot of evidence out there that snooze, you think you're getting all this extra sleep, and it's really deteriorating all the benefits that you had
Yeah.
from staying in bed for 6, 7, 8 hours.
I had a client show me the alarm settings, and there were, no lie, 10 different times for snooze, like 5 or 6 minutes apart. Whatever.
Yeah.
Ah,
The, yeah.
just get up. Just
Just
that first alarm, get up. No.
right.
And you know what? We all have those days when it doesn't matter. There could be a marching band coming into your bedroom and you'll sleep through it and you'll have that wake up. And that's your body's like, hey, dude, you know what? You've been putting us through the ringer. We just need to stay in this state for a little bit longer.
And I ask people about naps, and I love naps. I'm a napper, man. When I get a chance to nap, I'm napping. And people say, "Oh, I can't nap. It'll keep me awake at night." Well,
Hmm.
maybe, but it's your brain will get used to what are getting it used to, or what you train it to do. If you
Yeah.
go into that feeling, oh, I can't nap. Oh, I had a nap, so now I'm never going to sleep. Well, you just told your brain, guess what? We're never going to sleep.
Yeah.
you, that's self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
With babies, they used to, oh, I'm not going to let my baby sleep, so it won't sleep tonight. I'm like,
No.
whenever a baby wants to sleep, you lay it down, and they sleep as
Yeah.
long as they sleep. And that
Yeah.
was the theory we had, and it
Yeah.
worked. Well, figure it out. But anyway, so naps. I mean, I take advantage of it. Man, if I'm on the couch, I can close my eyes. I can be asleep in like 10 seconds.
You know what? Maybe that's what your body needs. And if you're getting tired, then that's a signal,
Right? Your body's telling you what it needs. So
right?
listen.
Listen to it. If you're hungry, go have food,
Right?
right? If you have to pee, go pee.
I always love the people trying to lose weight. You got to keep apples around. So if you're hungry, eat an apple. If you don't want an apple, you're not hungry.
Right, right.
I'm hungry, but just not for an apple. I'm hungry for chips.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Ah,
I can relate.
yeah. I resemble that remark.
Yeah. But you know what? It's a great tip. Have an apple.
Yeah.
You know what? It's fiber.
Mhm.
It's fructose, right? Like crunch,
Mhm.
juice, right? Like have an apple.
If you're not hungry for an apple, then you're really not hungry.
Yeah. Emotional eating. That can be a whole episode right there.
But Tom, I don't like apples. Okay.
Put a little bit of peanut butter on it.
No.
Mhm. Or a little bit of honey.
Right.
Hey, try that.
And then wrap it in chips and deep fry it.
Wrap it in bacon and then smother it in chocolate.
And then drop it in the air fryer.
Drop it in the air fryer, right? Sprinkle some caramel nuts on it. Oh man, now I'm hungry. Just like what was the other day? The Strands cakes.
Yeah, that was
No, I
good.
want cake.
No, I want cake. I don't want snakes today.
No, no, definitely not.
All right,
Must be a
Tom.
mistake.
So sleep. Sleep is your superpower. You got to do it. Figure
Yeah,
out a schedule, your sleep hygiene, what it is you do to prepare for bed every night.
yeah,
What time am I going to bed? What time am I getting up? Do the same thing every day. Train your brain. Your brain will follow your direction at some point.
yes.
Oh, what I meant to say is alcohol. Okay, watch your alcohol. Alcohol can help you get to sleep, but you will not have good sleep, and you'll probably
Right.
wake up before you want to.
Yep. That's one of those things that interrupts your sleep, and just recognize that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
One glass of wine with dinner or a beer with, while you're grilling. I have to have a beer when I'm grilling on the grill. It has to happen. If we're out of beer, I can't grill.
Yep. I've heard that's true for people who are playing cornhole.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it helps them balance, holding
Yeah,
the.
absolutely.
Mm.
So anyway, Tom, thank you. I got to go take a nap because I'm kind of tired.
Very good. Thank you guys for being here, and we look forward to having you next week.
All right.
Go the fuck to
Questions?
sleep.
Eh, questions at therapyunzip.com.
Perfect.
You can tell us to go to hell. Go ahead. You won't be
Right
the
on.
first. You won't be the last.
We'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, then.